It's Cathy Simmons here, and a hugely warm welcome to today's interview, which I'm calling Coffee with V. Now, you probably already know that one of the things I have the pleasure and privilege of doing is working with a number of therapists and helping them get their unique talents out to the world in the way that's right for them. But as I'm quite a techie, well, actually, no, I'm a complete geek, let's face it. But one of the things I'm trying to move a little bit away from is teaching any of the technology. So I was looking around for someone who really understands the technology behind this, because you know what it's like, you know, as therapists, then we work out what marketing we want to do, and a lot of it tends to be online. You know we need a website. We hear these funny terms around like SEO, lead magnets and awful things like that, and there's an awful lot to get our heads around, isn't there? So even if we decide on the strategy, there's still a number of things to learn. So I was looking around for someone who understands all this, who can either do it for us or who teaches how to do this and make some sense of it. So I was over the moon when I got in touch with V, and she really, really kindly said yes to coming on today and hopefully simplifying a lot of this kind of confusion that some of us have around this internet world. So she's going to be helping us to understand about how not to get lost in the internet sea. So a huge warm welcome, V. Thanks ever so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do before we start, if it's okay with you, is just ask you a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I guess I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My dad's a business owner. He set up his own business from scratch. My granddad on my mum's side, he set up a laundry. He comes from a long line of laundrymen as well, so a commercial laundry. The laundry now is run by my uncle, but it's still the largest independent commercial laundry in Denmark. And then my great-grandfather on my dad's side was also an entrepreneur, and he mined manganese ore. He bought lands and collected the ore for the Germans.
Wow.
Before we went. So I guess if there's an entrepreneurial gene, I've got it. So I set up it started off as a virtual admin business, in fact it's 11 years ago. I got made redundant from a large PLC company, and whilst I was at that company, I was there as a PA to the company secretary, who then was also the legal director, and it was a small head office, but we owned 30 subsidiaries. And it was at the time when the internet was in its infancy, and we still had dial-up, if anyone knows what that is.
Oh boy, do I remember that.
But they asked me, could you make us a website? Because they wanted to get on board with this internet thing. And so I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to, because, I was secretly quite pleased about it, because that's, I love working out how to use Microsoft Word and everything. And so there weren't any courses around, so I had to teach myself, and I did a lot of research into what made a good website, what was bad website design, and created something that they loved, and it became the flagship for the other 30 subsidiaries. Look at what V's done. You don't need to spend 10,000 on a website. V's done it for a fraction of the cost. So that's the prices the subsidiaries were being quoted to put up. Wow. A basic brochure site at that time. So then after I got made redundant, I set up my own VA business. But then I found I was getting asked to do websites, and then WordPress came into being, and then so that's where I kind of focused, because that's actually what I love doing. So that's where I am today. I've built hundreds of websites. Still love geeking out at, trying to find, researching, whoa, this is a new plugin that's come on board. What does this do? How can this work? And how can it make my life easier? And of course, a lot of the stuff, I like things to be simple and straightforward to use, because a lot of my clients are technophobic. They're not techie at all. and so it has to be in a way that they can learn it easily, whether it's me explaining it to them or that it's simple to use. So that's kind of been my underwriting thing. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Oh, I so love that. Yeah. Brilliant.
So what I want to share today, I've put together how in V's world the internet works.
Fantastic. What a fascinating story, though. I didn't know a lot of that about your background, V. Just so that people know, V is known as the Biz Tech Whiz, and I've actually had an opportunity to speak with some of her clients who speak extremely highly of her. And one of the things that really struck me was that you say keep it simple, V. One of the things that really struck me was they said not only did she do stuff for us, but she also explained exactly how she'd done it. And that is so important, isn't it? When some of us have had websites made by people and then it's like a black hole, isn't it? You just no idea where to go. So I'll shut up now and I'm going to hand over to the lovely V Smith to help us explain to us a little bit more about how not to get lost in this internet sea. And I know you've got a presentation to share with us, haven't you, V?
I have, yes. I'm just putting that up now. I just wanted to check that you can actually see it all. It's not cut off.
I might on my, I don't know about the others, but it might. No, it's absolutely fine. Maybe a little bit smaller. I don't know whether people are watching on computers or on. That's perfect. Thank you, V. I'm going to hand over to you. If it's okay with you, if I do get questions popping up in the chat box, and just if you haven't used Zoom before, guys, there is a box you can chat in and I will see them. I will see your questions. If it feels right, I may ask the question as we go along, but it may be better just to wait till the end. Is that okay with you, V?
Absolutely, yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Okay.
So thank you.
Let me just, okay, so these are my contact details. I mean, I've already told you a bit about myself, so I will just go straight into, so the poll, actually that I want to get an idea of where everybody is on the call. So Cathy, I think, has done a poll in advance, so I'd like to know, have you got a website? And either it's yes or no, or you've got one in progress, or you're thinking about it. It's being made.
Yeah, the poll's up.
Just give me an idea of where people are at.
Well, interestingly, so far it's equal yes, no, and in progress.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know if you can see that.
No, I can't.
Okay, there's now more no, 50%, sorry, 50% yes, 25% no, and 25% in progress.
Okay. Well, actually, what I'm going to share with my slides, with my presentation, is lots of stuff that's going to help you, whether you've got a website or not, or whether you're in the process of having one made. Because if you've already got a website, you'll be able to check off, have I got this, have I not got this? So I'm going to move on to the next slide now. So the first thing is, what makes you buy? How do people buy today? And you can really think about what makes you as a person buy. And it's quite different today from, say, even 10 years ago. So now we go on the internet, we research, we see what's available, who else is supplying, and we could be doing that 24/7. We could be waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning because we can't sleep, because it's bothering us, so we'll search the internet. So it is there 24/7, and you can be researching on companies' websites who are not in the same country or time zone as you. So that's why it's important to have a website, because you don't have to have somebody or yourself at the end of the phone answering a phone call about what you do. The website is sifting out your prospects from they're not ideal clients to they are interested, and also taking care of not ready yet. Now, the other thing that you might do is also check out testimonials and social media. For example, I think it was about a year ago, my vacuum cleaner packed up, and I knew that I didn't want a bagless vacuum cleaner, but I didn't really know what else was available. And so I just went to my Facebook community and asked for recommendations. What is everyone else using? What do they recommend? And so I got a lot of feedback, and I actually went with someone, a recommendation that more than one person was making, and bought that. So it's really valuable. It's good to know that people are asking on social media. They are not just asking their people immediately around them, but their whole community, which could be worldwide. And the other thing that is important to know is that how long do you actually spend on a website? And if you're just flicking through to see what's available, you're probably not spending more than 15 seconds checking out. Am I in the right place? So why is all this important? Because you need to be really clear, or your website needs to be really clear, so that you can pass what I've also heard is called the grunt test. That within 3 seconds of someone arriving on your website, above the fold, what they see, they immediately get what it is that you do and the problem that you solve. So it's really important to be clear about who you serve, the problem that you solve. Then, because when you do that, then it's really easy for prospects to identify themselves as someone who you can help, and also that they know it, because you don't know who they know, they could be referring people to you. So if you're clear about who it is you help, and they have friends or people who've asked on social media, then you know to recommend them. So let me introduce you to the concept of the website island. Building a website is a bit like building your business on an island. You can make it really beautiful. You've got complete control over how it looks, the offerings that you have there. So on this island, we've got like a residence area. There's a visitors area. So the residents are for the people who actually, are your paying customers. They get things like sunbeds. You don't have to sit on the bare sand. And there's also a VIP area where they get more personalised treatment. There's red carpet. There's waiters there with drinks on hand. So it's, everything is there. But here's the thing with a website. It's like an island in the middle of the ocean, and nobody knows it's there. So the next problem that you have is, how do you get people to there? Now, this is where I see a lot of people get hung up over, they think they need SEO. So they pay a lot of money to get SEO done, but it still doesn't bring enough people. They're sitting there waiting for their phone to ring, but it doesn't ring, and they can't understand why. So we need to actively bring people to our website island. And we do that through what I call the broadcasting tower. And the broadcasting tower is all the activities that you do to tell people about your services. They could include PR, social media, you might do leaflet dropping, you might go out networking, you might pay for adverts, talks, telesales. There's like hundreds of different ways that you can tell people about your business. But the aim should be that you bring them back to your island, your website island. So I want to get an idea of where everyone is today. So can we do a hands up? Can people do hands up?
I think people can put their hands up. Yeah, I tested it earlier, so hopefully we've got the technology.
So yes, put your hand up if you're on any of these platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn or Twitter.
Oh yeah, the hands are going up. This is great.
Okay.
We've got 50% hands up.
Brilliant.
And me.
And you. Well, and me as well. Okay, so is anybody tweeting right now? I don't know if you can put the hands down, or is it in the chat?
I put the hands down and there's one up.
Okay, and then who is using Pinterest, Instagram or YouTube? Put your hands up again.
Yeah, we've got nearly half. Yeah.
Nearly half again.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so put the hands down now. Who has checked email today? And who's checking email right while we're talking?
Oh, you see, it went up and then it went back down again. So obviously people aren't checking it while you talk, but it was nearly 100%, but not entirely 100% people who'd checked their email today.
All right, but nearly 100%.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's quite a big difference. So what I wanted to prove with that is that while some of us are on social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, everyone is checking their email. And that's really important to know. I'll explain later. So the next thing is back to the home page. So people arrive, you've told them through your social media, through all your broadcasting means, PR, whatever, they arrive at your website and they arrive on the home page, which is another word for home page is like a landing page. So they have a look around, they see what you do, but they don't necessarily buy right away. Now, there could be many reasons for this. It could be that they don't need your services right now. It could be that they are still researching and seeing what else is available. It could be any number of reasons, but they don't necessarily buy right away. And this can be particularly true if your ticket price is quite high. Then they need to consider it. It's not so critical if it's a no-brainer price, like £1 or £2. But most of us are probably charging more than that for our services. So, so the first thing that they judge is, are they in the right place? And I've got some tips. So the number one mistake that people make about their homepage is that the logo takes up too much vertical space. They've paid maybe £1,000 or more on having a beautiful logo designed. But so they care very much about it, but actually nobody else cares about the logo. It doesn't, unless it conveys what it is you do in a really straightforward, can get it in a grunt 3 seconds, then the logo is actually not that important. And it shouldn't take up more, it shouldn't take up half the screen space. In fact, it should be quite, in the top right-hand corner, if you've got one. For some business owners, maybe they don't have a logo yet, and sometimes they get hung up on that, and actually it's not an important thing to have at this moment in time, especially if they're on a tight budget. So the most important thing is having like a clear headline that describes in a few succinct words who you serve, the problem that you solve, or the problems that you help solve. And it should be above the fold, so they don't have to scroll down to view the rest of it. Another mistake people make on the homepage is that there are too many options above the fold. They've got opt-in boxes, they've got different things that they can click through to. And here's the thing, if there's too much choice, then people make no decision, and it's easier for them to just do nothing. So the solution to that is provide very little choices. Yes, no. Am I in the right place? Yes or no. Should I carry on reading? That's the kind of choice that you should be offering. Now, it used to be that back in maybe even 4 or 5 years ago, most people checked browsed on the internet on their computer. So you have a nice big screen and there was space for sidebars, and that's where it kind of drove from. But then when we started moving over to mobile and people were checking on their mobile devices, you couldn't actually read. There wasn't space to have sidebars. So that's where the design has come back to being like a single panel or a single column, because it's actually easier to read on a mobile device. And then they kind of realized actually they get better results on that, because you can only offer, there's so many you can only offer yes or no. You can't offer too many options on a mobile device. So they've sort of put that back onto the desktop web version of the website, give very little choices in a screen. In fact, website layouts and design is something that's covered in my web building course. I've got an online web building course, and that's one of the things that I cover in it. So the aim of the home page, in fact, above that first screen that they get, not just the home page, is that you've got to convince them in less than 3 seconds that they're in the right place and to carry on reading. Not necessarily to buy a service yet, but just to carry on reading. So I've got some examples of some websites that do this really well. This is a site that I've done. So immediately you see, her logo is right at the top, but it's study and style. So you get a training for image professionals. And this is clearly a bus company. And this is PicMonkey. This is not my website, but I think it's a really good example that they have many tools here, but it's clear. It's a photo editor, design maker, ideal realizer. It's quite clear what it is that they do. So you carry on reading more. Okay, so we've got people coming to our website and they're just visiting, and they're not quite ready yet. So we need some means to bring them back. And this is a mistake that I see a lot of people make, is that there's no means to capture their details so that we know who they are, so that we can contact them again in a non-aggressive way. So that brings me on to the concept of goodies, or having a goodie table, which is your free thing. It's also known as a lead magnet. A horrible name for it is ethical bribe. But basically what it is, it's some useful information, usually in a PDF, or it could be a video, that you give away that solves a particular problem for your typical clients in exchange for their email address. It has to be valuable to them in that it solves a problem, and for them to actually give up their email address, because it's no good having newsletters sign up. Nobody signs up to a newsletter anymore, because we've got our inboxes are overflowing. It has to be far more compelling, and you can do that with a free goodie. So the examples of free goodie might be some more useful information, like a how-to. It could be a checklist, a toolkit, a resource list. It needs to solve a specific problem, and it gives them almost a solution to their problem. I say almost because they actually have to do it. They're not getting any action with it. They're given the information how to, but it's up to them totally to go ahead and do it. So this matters because it's a way of them sampling you, of getting to know, like, and trust you. You can get their contact details, and apart from that one time you spent creating it, it doesn't involve your time any further, and it's there 24/7. So it's working for you when you're sleeping as well. So I've got some examples here of some lead magnets. So this lady is a hypnotherapist, and she offers a free hypnosis recording to people who are interested in beating their food addictions. It's just a single landing page, one page thing. Everything is there on the screen. This is that image trainer. She's got a free holiday packing checklist. And this lady is a calm coach, and she is offering get instantly calm, get 3 instant calmers in exchange for name and email address. Now, one mistake that I do hear, or not mistake, one thing that I hear from a lot of people, they're worried about giving away too much information that they won't, that person won't then buy their services. But in actual fact, what you're doing is you're providing more information. You're giving, you're setting yourself up as the expert, but you're not actually giving them any action. In order to get action and accountability, they've got to buy your services. So there isn't actually any danger of giving away too much information. In fact, the more information you give, the more likely they're going to come to you to actually buy the service, because they may realise actually they've tried to go ahead and do this, but there's a lot more to it than, it reveals more problems and they need your help to fix it. And then the other danger is that you give away so little information that that person who's downloaded it feels a bit cheated and shortchanged, because they haven't got any more information than what they already knew. So then they've handed over, oh, here's another example. This one is, she's a Pilates teacher, so she's worked out that if she can get people to one of her classes, then her conversion rate is extremely high. So her lead magnet, if you like, is to claim a free class. So they've handed over their details, and the next thing is that, you don't just sit on them. They're not sitting in your locker doing nothing. You've given, you've got their details, but you can also sort them. So you could be sorting them between customers, between people who are interested in. There could be various different products that they're interested in, or services that they're interested in. You can sort them out between the type of thing that they've bought, whether they're VIP clients or just regular clients. You can sort them between what they've shown an interest in, where you collected them from, if it was at a particular conference or meeting or somewhere that you've been. You can sort them out from their demographics, where they live, male, female, age groups. There's all sorts of ways that you can sort them. You could also sort them between the type of problems that they have. So, for example, whether they want to give up smoking, or if it's weight loss or back pain or fertility. And even then you can subset to those groups, like, weight loss could apply. You could cut it down to age range, or it could be weight loss following having had a baby, or it might be to do with wedding prep. And there's ways of segmenting a customer group into even further specific subgroups. And in fact, the mechanism of setting up this whole the sign up, collecting the information, the contact details, is one of the things that I cover in module 9 of my web building course. So trivia time. Put in the chat box, what is the #1 app on mobile phones?
I got this one wrong, by the way.
If you just type in the chat, and then we'll see.
Okay, I got Facebook. I've got Facebook. I think it might have been what I said as well.
Okay, well, in actual fact, would it surprise you to know that it is actually email? More than half of all emails are opened on a mobile device. And in fact, there's stats that show that more people own a mobile phone than own a toothbrush. So that's an interesting thought to think out when you're next out and about. Scary. It is, but apparently there's been studies on this. Now, there's a litmus study that 64% of adults, and it's growing, own smartphones, and as a result, 51% of emails are now opened on mobiles. And 52% of mobile owners send or receive email from their mobile device. Now, in reality, I actually think it's much higher than this, because for the email campaigns that I look after my clients for, I know that I can see that more than 60% of people, in fact, it's nearer 70%, open the emails that my clients send out are opened on a mobile device. So what does this mean? And this brings me to another mistake that people make, is not making sure that both the email and website is mobile friendly, because we're looking at your message on a tiny screen. And then that message might contain a link to a website, so it's important that both are mobile friendly, that can be read easily. We touched on layouts earlier. This is another reason why it needs to be mobile friendly. What happens if they can't read your message on the mobile phone, if it's too much of a hassle, even pinching and zooming in and out is a hassle. And what happens is that it either gets deleted or it just gets, oh, I'll read that later. But read later is as good as deleted, because it gets, how many emails have you gone back to? It gets lost in the inbox. Okay, so we've had people come to visit our website. They've signed up to the free thing. You've got their email details. Now you need to bring them back to your website islands, and you can do this with the ferry service. Now, the ferry service is the equivalent of your newsletter. Oh, sorry, I've gone too far. The ferry services it's an opportunity for you to give them more reasons to buy from you. They've put their hands up that they're interested in what you do by signing up to your free thing. And it's the equivalent of them buying a ticket to your ferry service. So who are you not to provide that ferry service? It's actually quite dissatisfying. You bought a ticket, you're standing at the quayside waiting for this ferry to turn up, and it doesn't turn up. So it's almost like your duty to carry on providing more information through your newsletters about how you help people, more tips, show that you're the go-to person, so that you're forefront all the time, so that maybe they're not ready to buy now, but maybe 2 months later they are. So if they've been receiving your regular ferry service, they know you still exist, and your contact details are there on hand to make contact. It could even be, I've had people on my list for over a year who've been sitting there quietly, and then suddenly they get into contact because the time is now right for them. So what can you put in a newsletter? Because that's also something that people struggle with. They don't know what to say. But there's actually loads of things that you can put in a newsletter. There's more useful information. You can answer questions that you get asked a lot. You can talk about your special offers and promotions. There's case studies. You can also give more information about you and your story and the reason why you do this. And this ferry setup, the newsletter setup, is something else that I cover in my web building course, because it's not just about building the website, it's about bringing people back to the website. So the next challenge is actually getting them onto the ferry, or in other words, to actually open your email. So these 3 words are very important to anyone who does email marketing or marketing of any sort: now, later, or never. So when you think about it, when you were opening your emails this morning or checking your emails this morning, you were automatically going through this filter, now, later, or never, and deciding whether it needed your attention now, whether you need to deal with it later or never. So your ideal thing is that you want people to open now. You definitely don't want to be in the never category. And later, let's face it, later is as good as never. So these are the things that you decide on: now, later, or never. Who is the message from? Do you recognise them? what's your subject or headline, and when have you received it? So I've got a note here that I should apologise for bringing this to your attention, because now for the next couple of days you're going to be conscious of this: now, later, never. And you'll be saying this in your head when you're checking your emails: now, later, never, 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 now, later, never. So let me just check my notes that I've said everything that I want to. Okay, so the first thing was, who is it from? And so this is like a screenshot I've taken of my inbox, and I will look out for the people who I know, who I recognise. So therefore it's really important to, if you're representing a company, to stand out, always include your name. Even if you are a company, put your name in, because that looks more personal, rather than a company you're comparing with all the other companies. Oh yeah, that's not important, I can read that later. What I did, I used to do the email marketing. I set my theatre group up with email marketing, and I used to send out the communications to our audience about our next shows, and I used to put my name in it. There's hundreds of people involved in our theatre group, but I put myself, V Smith from Written Players. And in fact, people got to, what surprised me, and I wasn't expecting this, was that people would actually reply to that and say, oh, really enjoyed your last show, really looking forward to this next one. So you're kind of like building up this personal relationship with these people that actually I've never met half of these people, but they felt they had a personal connection with me because I was making it, although I was representing an organisation, I was almost like the face of the organisation, although even though there's many more people, I was the communication face. So always put your name with the actual company name. Then what is your subject? So here's a really simple method for writing really powerful subject or headlines, and it's called the 2-2-2 principle. So I'll just take you through it quickly. So the first two is the first or 2 seconds that you typically have to compel someone to pay attention. The second two is the first 2 words of your subject line or headline. And that's actually really all they read before making the decision. And that decision is not about whether to read your emails, whether to read the rest of your subject line. And then the third 2 is, why does it matter today? If you can answer these 3 questions in your headline or your subject, then that's half the battle won. Then you're going to get people to actually open the message. So how do you do it? So have you ever noticed that subject lines that begin with something like 12 seats left for tomorrow, or 10 seats open tomorrow? It expresses quite quickly that the message matters today. Seats are running out, it's an upcoming event. But what if you're running an event and you've got loads of seats left? You don't want to lie, but you don't want to say 57 seats left open for tomorrow. It's not very compelling, and there isn't any scarcity or urgency. So you don't want to lie, but you still want to create some urgency. So you could say some seats left, which is more compelling, and it's still truthful. You can say things like today only or by close of business, but these kind of headlines make it very clear to people that your message is relevant and timely and that they should open it now. And it will help you win that now, later, never battle. And so the other thing was when to send. That's a common question I do get asked, when to send and post. So I have found that in the entertainment, like for Written Players, I would send out a communication. I found the best time to send it out would be on a Thursday or Friday, when people are thinking about their weekend and what they're going to be up to at the weekend. If I sent it on a Monday, the open rate would just drop. And And then for self-development, I've got a coaching client. We discovered the best time to send was actually a Tuesday or a Wednesday, because it's about their self-development. So they've gone back to work, to a job they hate. They've had a rubbish Monday, they hate it, and by Tuesday they're ready to make a change. So receiving an email about how you can change your career is quite timely, because they're in that right frame of mind. And motivational emails, they're usually good to send on a Monday. But ultimately, you can experiment with this and find out, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what fits your audience. And it's best to test and see when gets the best open rates. I've got some stats here of what they recommend, like social media 3 to 5 times a week is plenty, but use automated tools to help. And email monthly is most common. I actually do mine weekly. I don't know if what you do, Cathy.
It does vary. I'm not quite as consistent as I'd like to be.
Right. I wouldn't do it less than monthly.
No.
But weekly, and then also, when are they most likely to take action?
I have to be honest, I'm not happy when I'm getting like several emails a day from someone selling something.
No.
It just offends me, and I generally sort of unsubscribe from that if it happens.
Yeah, there is a fine balance. But here's the thing, open rates don't tell the whole story. Open doesn't mean that they've actually read your email, because if you use Outlook or any desktop solution, you get a preview of the email, and that will register as an open even if they haven't actually read it. So the real test of whether they've opened your email or whether they've read your email is to actually get people off the ferry onto your island, onto your info booth. And once they're back on your website, they can have a look around and be reminded of what it's like, what it might be like working with you, get sand between their toes, and they're more likely to buy from you. But also, when they've come off the ferry, what's happened in reality is they've clicked on a link on your newsletter, which means they're interested in that topic that you've been reading about or that you've talked about. And so to get more information, they've had to come to the blog post to read the rest of it. And that's what I mean by the info booth. It's the equivalent of your blog posts on your website. So again, it's exactly the same with the newsletter. You write about or blog about, and it doesn't have to be written. It could be video if video is your style. But topics that your clients are interested in, things that you solve, case studies, answers to questions that you been asked. Quite often if I've been speaking to a prospect during the week, then that might be the topic of my blog post for the following week. Because if they're asking, there's probably other people who'd like to know that answer. And in fact, blogging is another topic that's covered in Module 8 of my web building course. So I've got some examples of newsletters where they do this. So this is what the image trainer, so read my blog, it links through to the article on her website, which is the blog article. This is my one, so that's a video, it links through to the actual blog post where you can actually read the rest of it. This is Alicia Orr. She does the same thing, does it really well. In fact, she provides quite a few links in her email which go through to the actual blog post. So you provide a little interesting snippet that's intriguing with a bit of a cliffhanger. To get the resolution to that cliffhanger, they've got to click through to the rest of it on your blog. So, and then when they're on your blog site, they've got opportunities. There's all the menu bars. They can, and you have a call to action at the end of it, inviting them to a phone call or to buy something. That's how the whole cycle works. So that brings us back to the island. So just to recap where all the bits are. So we have like your biz island, your website. where you've got everything set up, all your wares are displayed, exactly what you do. It's clear to people the problems that you solve. And then you have your broadcasting tower, which is the means of how you bring people back to your website, your social media, your PR, your networking, all the activities that you do to tell people about what you do. So you bring them back to your website and you offer them a free goodie. In exchange for their free goodie, the information goes into the locker, they've got your free goodie, and they've also bought a ticket to your ferry service, which is your newsletter, or it could be what's called an autoresponder. And basically that's how many is there? Five areas that you need for a successful website. And these are all things that I cover in my web building course, actually. So yeah, any questions?
Oh, that's been really interesting. I just love this metaphor. I really love that metaphor. There were a couple of questions that came up as we went along, but hopefully I answered it about what was SEO. There are so many acronyms in this world, the online world, and I did hopefully answer it, that SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it's part, if I'm wrong, it's one way of having that broadcast tower, so that when people looking for you, say they're on Google and they're searching for something, I want to stop smoking, then search engine optimization are activities you can do to make sure that you pop up when they search for the thing that you help with. I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's also one of the things that's covered in my course, actually. There are things that you put in place on your island, like a directory listing, for example, a bit like a directory listing when people are searching for stop smoking, tips to stop smoking, that you come up, and that could be maybe your free goodie, and they'll come to your website. But it's a very passive way of doing it, and you can't just rely on SEO as the only thing to bring traffic to your website.
And I bang on about this quite a lot. Sometimes that in itself, if people aren't actually searching for what you offer, then it's not the best.
Exactly. They need to be educated.
Yeah, they may not realise that there is help out there for the stuff they need help with, and they might only by coming across you, they go, oh my goodness, I didn't know someone could actually help me with this. But it just illustrates there's so much jargon, so many acronyms that put so many people off, and yet when you put it like this, in this metaphor, you suddenly see how everything fits together, and it's, so, it doesn't really matter about the jargon. We can learn that. It's just understanding how it all fits together, which is brilliant. A couple of things that I really noticed from that presentation, V. Thank you really so much. Your 222, the 2 seconds, the 2 words, and the today. I've never heard anyone describe it like that before. It was so useful and really quite scary, that people can make that decision by reading the first 2 words of your subject line.
But we're doing it all the time now ourselves.
So it's really helpful. And the other thing that I love, because we're surrounded by people who tell us, especially as therapists, people who tell us, oh, this is the way to do it. This is the thing we have to do. You do this, you follow this formula. But what was lovely about the way you said this is how it all fits together, but you make it work in the right way for you. And testing is a massive part of that. So, sorry, my 2 pennies worth in there.
Yeah, it's a very valid point, but you do have to have the systems up in place to make use of the, going out broadcasting and, doing your networking. For all that to work, there needs to be some means to capture those details on your website, and the easiest way is to provide some goodie thing. Yeah. And then if you've got that, you need to keep bringing them back. And those mechanisms need to be set up, although you're wasting a lot of money on your tower activities, on your broadcasting.
Totally. Well, I've absolutely loved that. Thank you so much. And one of the things I always do on these kind of interviews is to ask you, if someone is interested in finding out more about you and working with you, how can they go about doing that?
How can they go? Well, there's actually 3 ways that, there's the info booth. I forgot about that one, the blog. There's 3 ways that I work with people. So I have a web building course that I've been talking about dripping through, where you can just, it's like sitting on my shoulder, watching what I do, how I set up a website for a client. It's a WordPress website, and all these elements are included, you know, how you build the ferry service, the blogging, that's all included. Then there's the assisted DIY website course, so where you actually get my one-to-one help with it. So you might we jump on a screen share, and you might, you know, there might be an issue that you need clarifying on, or something that's not quite working, or you've picked something that's not quite covered in the course, and that would be covered in my assisted DIY website. So you're still doing it, but you're getting my help and showing you how to do it. And then of course I've got clients who I just do it for them. They're not interested in getting involved in all the techie stuff. They're not interested in learning it. They're just, take it away and do it. So what I've done for the people who attended and, you know, your community, Cathy, is I've created a free web tech toolkit that you can download from a page here, vsmith.com/Cathy Simmons. So you can actually experience my freebie and my ferry service and see what I do. And so you'll get the toolkit, and then you'll also get some follow-up emails with some more information and more useful stuff, all to do with building up your web presence using websites, email marketing. And then you can also, if you want to actually have a chat with me and to see if I can help you, then book a free web tech clarity call with me. You jump on a call and I'll see if I can help you get clearer on what you need to do for your own particular situation. And that's on the same page, vsmith.com, Cathy Simmons.
That's very generous of you, thank you. I'm going to download that one myself. Look, V, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any more questions that are popping up. I'll give people a couple of seconds if they've got anything they want to answer. But if there aren't any more, I just want to thank you again so much for your time and your generosity.
You're welcome.
It's been a really, really helpful metaphor. And like I say, you know, if you're looking for help, either to learn it for yourself or for someone to do it for you, or somewhere in between, then I would really recommend that you have an initial chat with V and see how she can help you. So that's about it. Actually, that's the time. I was still under an hour, which is good. People can go off and get on with the rest of their day. So again, thanks ever so much for this, V, and thank you all for attending. It's been lovely. So we'll see you all very soon.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.